Huge speech for Keir Starmer. I bet he was up late as well. And it's not the first time that you've had a make-or-break speech from a political leader at a party conference, although this is a Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, with the lowest ever poll rating for a Prime Minister in terms of his unpopularity. Do you think they've got a speech and a message and a strategy which is going to turn this round today?
No. I don't think you can turn it round in a day. You can start, but you won't be able to do that. And it'll undoubtedly go well in the hall because a lot of people are paid to come here. It's the Glee Club, it's your supporters. But out in the country, people don't seem to be listening to Keir Starmer at the moment. They've switched off. They've made up their minds at the moment. They don't like him. We see those record low poll ratings, although I think what's happened is an atomisation of people. I think if you went back to Blair or Thatcher or any other Prime Minister now, I think you'd find all their poll ratings would be lower as well. But he's got to start. He talks about the fork in the road. It's a fork in the road for him. And he's got to take the path that will somehow connect with the country, or I think this time next year he'll be in serious trouble with his own party.
Andrew, I want to put to you, I said this morning to viewers, what is it that you want to hear from the Prime Minister? I just want to put one thing to you, and I wonder if this sort of will resonate. Gary emails in, Brits don't feel special. I'm 69, had to work when I was at school to have some treats. Now there's no incentive to work and pay your way in life and stand proud and help your neighbours. Get people working and paying for their life. Get teachers teaching. Get police policing, just like the past. And parents pushing you to pay your way in life. I wonder if that's a sort of... It's almost a sort of back to basics plea from Gary, that he doesn't feel that currently there are those values in British society.
I think perhaps the Prime Minister should have a read of that letter, that message, actually, because it's very compelling. Yeah, I mean, our schools work... he's going to talk today, isn't he, the Prime Minister's speech, about the NHS and creating more online... using the internet more. But we heard only yesterday in Kevin's paper and in the Daily Telegraph that GPs may go on strike if they use the internet more to get more people to make it easier for people to have an appointment with a GP. Chilling and outrageous. In Blair's Britain, 1 year after Labour came in, you'd think the NHS would be absolutely key and central to everything they're doing, and that's how we're now viewing the NHS.
Well, Kevin, sorry, I was just going to say, Kevin, the NHS is one of the issues that voters put right at the heart of what they're concerned about. So your paper has done a big analysis of this announcement today. What do you think will change with the introduction of these appointments online with a hospital consultant? Because waiting to see a consultant is a big issue for people, isn't it?
Yeah. After hearing Andrew struggle just there, I might get him a GP appointment when we get off there. But with Wes Street and the Health Secretary, his three big thrusts on the NHS. He's got a lot of extra money. He's got billions, 25 billion extra. The three big thrusts are more care in the community. We all take a bit more responsibility for our own health, and you harness technology in whatever way where you can. And if the net can be used to link you up with a doctor quicker and more easily and simpler, that's got to be a good thing. The BMA are objecting somehow on how it operates. But you still need the capacity, you still need the GP, you still need the consultant to be there. And if they aren't there and they're already overworked, then the system won't work. It won't change it as quickly as it should. The government can point out that waiting lists are coming down in England. The junior doctors' dispute to put a spanner in the works there. But it'll take time, in truth. If the NHS was run down over years, you're not going to be able to revive it in days, is the truth. But can I go back to Gary, actually?
Yes.
I think Gary feels that. Gary feels that. If Gary feels that, that is how Gary feels. And lots of other people feel that way. But the truth is, teachers are teaching. Police officers are policing.
When do you ever see a copper on the beat? When do you ever see a copper on the beat? They're on what they're doing. The police are on the internet the whole time. They're looking at screens the whole time. That's what they're doing. They're going after hate. It's true. It's true, Kevin. People do not feel that their communities are safe. People do not feel safe in their streets anymore.
And if they don't feel that as an issue, but crime is much lower than it was 20 years ago. It's the fact. But if Gary and others feel the way they feel, somehow the Prime Minister and the government have to help turn around how they feel. And that won't be easy. And I think that's Starmer's root problem now, is whatever he says, people are just saying, I don't care, don't believe you. If people have made up their minds on him, then he is in deep trouble, because he's got to turn how people feel around. And it's just not going to be easy.
Yeah, and you can talk about waiting lists are coming down. Apparently, I don't think people feel that either.
Are you becoming a conspiracy theorist? You're doubting waiting lists are coming down, and you can see the figures.
I just know anecdotally what people say to me. People say to me they do not feel the NHS is getting any better. Try the NHS on a Saturday night. Try your accident and emergency. It's like a war zone. It's like a war zone.
There will be people watching now who will be on long waiting lists, worried about the 8 a.m. scramble to get a GP's appointment.
And then they find out the GPs are going to go on strike if they dare to be given more appointments via online.
There will be millions more thinking, I've just had a very good experience. I've seen my doctor. I've had a life-saving operation. You've got to see both sides.
Can I ask you about, because today is a speech by Keir Starmer as Prime Minister. There was a poll yesterday of Labour members which said that 2/3 of members would choose Andy Burnham, a third would choose Keir Starmer to be the Prime Minister if Labour members were getting that choice. And, of course, they're the ones who have the vote. Would any Prime Minister, any Labour Prime Minister at the moment, be burdened by the economy not growing, NHS waiting times being high, the challenge of having to raise taxes in the autumn? Or is there something about Keir Starmer which makes it harder for him to communicate and get that message over? I have to say, at the weekend when we heard his theme was the politics of patriotic renewal, I didn't really think that was a phrase which was going to trip off the tongue of people talking about politics at the weekend if they were in the pub. But, I mean, is there something about Keir Starmer's personality himself? Is there something about his speechwriters? Or is there something about the state of politics at the moment which would make it really hard, whoever was the Prime Minister?
Or is there something in all of them? His team has been poor, and questionably they've got a tough inheritance. They've made mistakes which overshadow the good things they do. And Keir Starmer himself has just got this inability to communicate. We're living in an era where personality politics is probably stronger than it's ever been. It really matters. If you look on the right, you've got Farage, even Ed Davey, the embarrassing dad, can communicate with these stunts and go for that section of the population. But yeah, Keir Starmer is just not linking up, and he's somehow got to do that. He's got to excite people and get people to trust him, and they're not. Look, I remember Tony Blair, Gordon Brown. They were much better in a crisis, and there's a crisis for the government and Labour here, arguably a crisis for the country, and he's just not giving that leadership. Now, can he? I think the jury's out that, although a lot of people are making up their minds already that he can't. But it's his chance. That fork in the road is his fork in the road. Which way does he go? Can he go a path where he can convince people and get another chance, or is he going to end up with a cul-de-sac where he can't get out of it, and it's a dead end. It's a dead end for him. Well, we'll know a little bit more today, but it's a start only. It's not going to be conclusive either way.
Yeah. People don't have a clue who he is. They don't know what he is, what he stands for. I was talking to a very senior pollster who's here in Manchester Liverpool this week. They all merged one into another.
Is it Brighton?
Nurse.
And he said...
Mr Pearce is out of bed again.
He said, if you think the polls are bad, the private polling groups are shocking for Labour, because when they mention the phrase Keir Starmer, people laugh. They laugh. If a Prime Minister is being laughed at and he's only been in power 14 months, he's an object of contempt and derision. That is an extraordinary place to be, just 14 months after winning that historic landslide election. He came in with no plan. He had no 100-day plan. Somebody got sacked. Sue Gray, remember her? She got the boot. No 100-day plan. There's no plan, no strategy. They've been throwing out people. Advisors keep getting kicked out. The real problem is the Prime Minister doesn't have a vision.
I wonder whether, just in the background,
he doesn't know
Andrew,
what it is. Try and articulate it.
Yeah, I wonder whether we just saw one of the challengers, not current challengers, but a future challenger, walking into conference behind you, Kevin. The Health Secretary, Wes Streeting.
I don't know whether you noticed. He actually turned around and yelled, "We're in Liverpool, Andrew, we're in Liverpool."
A very nice city it is too. The Beatles. We are all in a yellow submarine.
He can't prescribe, I know, Wes Streeting, but he's probably got your medication. Look, he's a much better communicator, Wes Streeting. I watch him when he comes on Good Morning Britain, and I think he just talks a language that people understand. And, yeah, there's a lot of people here who think, yeah, Andy Burnham might be the future. Others think it's Wes Streeting. There's a slight problem in Ilford, where he's got a very small majority of only 5 or 2. So if he was Prime Minister, he'd struggle at the next general election. But no, Labour's got some better communicators. Angela Rayner was one, but she's retired hurt at the moment.
The tax dodger.
So, yeah, I mean, Streeting must be looking and thinking, this is a shambles. I would love to live rent-free for a few hours in his head to know what he really thinks of Starmer. I can't believe he thinks the Prime Minister's doing a good job.
I think he's on manoeuvres like quite a few senior Labour figures, including Andy Burnham. Who belatedly said yesterday, by the way, that Keir Starmer is the right man for the job. Oh, it took you quite a long time to tell us that, Andy.
Also yesterday, we got more of an insight into what might happen in the budget, because, of course, we asked the Chancellor yesterday morning, whether she could rule out tax rises specifically. I was asking her about whether she could say yes or no to whether she was going to increase VAT. And, of course, her answer was, I'm not going to answer that question because then you might ask me another one. So, yesterday on Sky, the Chief Secretary to the Treasury, Darren Jones...
No, Chief Secretary to the Prime Minister now.
You're right.
He's been promoted.
Got a much bigger job now, Susanna.
He got promoted. He got moved from the Treasury to number 10.
He wanted to be Chancellor, but he's now Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster, which isn't quite the same.
Wow. OK. Kevin, can you decode the difference between the manifesto stands, which is a phrase that was repeated ad nauseam yesterday on this programme by the Chancellor, to the Chief Secretary to the Prime Minister saying the manifesto stands today?
Don't think he should have said that.
No, look, I thought she was quite clear when she said the manifesto stands, which
clear as mud,
which from the Chancellor means no increases in the rates of income tax, employees' national insurance and VAT. When I heard and watched him, I thought, what, it stands today? Does that mean it doesn't stand tomorrow? It sounded like he was then opening the door to those rates potentially going up. They kind of tried to row back later on, but I think he made a complete mess of it, actually, and added to confusion, or fuelled confusion.
I think he knew exactly what he was doing, and I think it's a real sign that the Chancellor of the Exchequer isn't writing the budget on her own anymore. We know that because this guy, most people never heard of a guy called Torsten Bell, a pensions minister. He's helping her out with the budget. We've got this guy, Chief Secretary to the Prime Minister, in a job that never even existed until a few weeks ago, who's got ambitions. I don't think Rachel Reeves is in charge anymore of the budget, which is why the conflicting signals coming out of government are there for all to see.
I don't think it's that. I think Darren Jones just made an error.
No, he didn't. He knew exactly what he was doing.
It created confusion.
And it's deliberate. He's a very ambitious man.
Yeah, but he's not God. He's not good.
He's Chief Secretary to the Prime Minister. We've never had one of those before. He's almost God.
He might like going on about how many degrees he's got, but I mean that was a poor performance by him.
Well, I think he knew exactly what he was saying, exactly what he was doing.
But Kevin, there is a dilemma here, which is to raise £30 billion a year, if that is the the right figure, is a lot of money to raise in tax. And if you aren't doing it through income tax, national insurance or VAT, very hard to find lots of other taxes to raise, and you start getting into very difficult issues around inheritance tax or fuel duties or gambling taxes. Even then, they're quite small amounts of money. There may be a debate happening in the government between some people saying the Chancellor must keep to her manifesto pledges and other people saying, I don't know if this is Darren Jones, saying from within 10 Downing Street, no, better to level with people and do it in a clean, simple, straightforward way. That could be a debate which is happening at the moment.
If they're having that debate and she breaks that pledge, she might as well pack her bags and out the Treasury and probably take the Prime Minister with her, because the breach in trust would be so catastrophic after they've said repeatedly in the manifesto and keeping it going. I think it's just not feasible. And that 30 billion gap, what do you raise with a penny on income tax? Is it about 5 billion?
A bit more now.
You put 2.5% on that, do you get 10, 12 billion? You'd probably have to, if you're going for your 30 billion from tax rises, you're going to have to, and that's your goal, you're going to have to increase tax so greatly on so many people if you're going to go income tax, national insurance, employees, or VAT. So I think that's a debate they've got to keep away from. If they're going to do it, look for the wealthier people. Go after wealthier people. Go for people who are on much higher incomes. It'll be a lot fairer. When you've got patriotic millionaires, UK, talking about you can have a wealth tax on everything over 10 million in assets you've got, they claim you can raise 24 billion.
How much is that going to raise?
We all know these taxes never raise quite what are billed.
Quite.
But if you're going to do it, you're going to have to break out. That's the way you can do it, and it would be popular. That would be popular. Putting up income tax, VAT, or employees' national insurance would not be popular. It would be deeply unpopular.
Well, she's ruled out a wealth tax as well, as does the Prime Minister, and I don't know if Kevin can do his maths. How much is a wealth tax going to raise?
I just told you.
Ed Balls, you may have a better idea. I don't think it would raise £24 billion. Your mate Gordon Brown, when he was Chancellor and Prime Minister, never did it.
Of course, we do have taxes on property through the council tax, and we have an inheritance tax at the moment. But the truth is, countries around the world, there are very few countries which have a broad-based wealth tax, and they don't tend to raise huge amounts of money because you end up with big exemptions for people's first property or whatever. So it's hard to get into the billions of pounds with a wealth tax, I think, is the international evidence. Anyway.
Shall we
Maguire carry on with it.
Shall we talk about...
carry on with this idea.
Yeah, I just want to...
Sorry, can I just say, though, council tax in England is unreformed since I think it's 1991.
Yes.
So somebody living in a semi in Blackpool is paying more than somebody in a huge house in Kensington, in one of the richer parts of the country. You could raise council tax on people who have bigger houses, who are much wealthier. That would be a good way. I hope she actually does that. It may take a while to feed through into the system and get evaluations of properties and so on, but you could do it. There are ways of raising tax which don't have to be on low and middle income earners. Because it's your house.
Clutching at straws. I don't live in a house, I live in a flat. I live in a flat, by the way.
In your huge bit of Hampstead.
A flat.
Do you own the Heath as well?
I don't own the Heath. Clueless.
Is it your garden?
He's clueless, so's the Chancellor.
Let's talk about...
There are ways of raising taxes that are fairer.
There are. It's just hard to get to 30 billion is my only point. But you are right.
Shall we talk about...
No, you won't get it with one tax.
OK, let's talk about this incredible moment, or is it, a peace plan for Gaza. Donald Trump has announced it. He's calling it eternal peace in the Middle East. And remarkably, it seems to mark a comeback for Tony Blair. He's going to be part of some kind of interim authority in charge of Gaza. Andrew, is this the way that we settle the issue of Gaza and Israel and Palestine for all time? And what is Hamas going to do?
Can I just... Well, Hamas won't sign up to any of this, in my view, in the first place. However, about Tony Blair, didn't he have a role as the Middle East peace envoy for several years?
Well, it could
I think
pay
I
off.
tried to interview him once when I was in Israel. Well, it didn't work before, And actually, his wretched war, which he did in Iraq with George Bush, is part of the reason we've got such a terrible problem in the Middle East in the first place. It's almost offensive that he should be in a position to have any role in Gaza whatsoever. It's terrifying and it's a bad idea. Keep him out of it. The great warmonger.
The non-Hamas Palestinian Authority in the occupied West Bank, were very critical of Tony Blair when he was the Middle East envoy.
Yes.
They would complain he was too close to the Israeli government. He might get the odd road opened, but the settlements didn't end. The occupation didn't end.
Did not.
But Kevin, if you put Tony,
the slaughter will end and the hostages will be freed. But I'm not filled with total glee at the idea of Netanyahu and Trump cobbling together a plan. Cut out Hamas. Yeah, that's great. You don't want Hamas to be the future. But I'm not getting the bunting out yet.
But if you put Blair aside, the fact is Trump wants it. Netanyahu is weak. The Arab countries are coming round and saying, we want this. The Hamas leadership is severely weakened. People are saying it's the best moment, the best chance for peace since the 1990s and the Oslo Accords. Now, it may not come off, but it is quite a remarkable moment that Donald Trump could be in a point of being the peacemaker in the Middle East.
And that it would be welcome if he was. If the slaughter and starvation of Palestinians ceases and the hostages are released and those who are sadly dead, their bodies are returned. If the violence ends, yes, but then what comes next? And we've seen with Trump, he can just veer around. He's wildly erratic. And there's also, you can't escape the fact he's thought about Trump Gaza in the past and spoken about ethnically cleansing the area by moving out 2 million Palestinians from their homes and creating a huge refugee crisis.
And if he does pull off peace here, Donald Trump, Nobel Peace Prize. It's coming.
There's a thought, Andrew, Kevin.
Obama got it after 5 minutes. He would deserve it if he secures peace. When he got one.
Andrew, Kevin, thanks very much. We will see you again, I hope, at 9:15.
Liverpool, Andrew, Liverpool.
Do we have to see him?
Yes.
Oh, you're in Liverpool. Or is it Everton?
We will...
Trying to do me football.
OK. Coffee's all round, I think.